Support the Amigos podcast and keep the Amiga goodness flowing for just $1 a month. Visit our page at patreon.com/AmigosPodcast.
Amiga, the first personal computer that gives you a creative edge.
Hi everybody, welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're going to be talking about Mega Lo Mania.
It's getting low. It's mega low.
Did you ever go to the skate arena?
I did.
Do you remember the Limbo?
Oh, yes.
The Limbo. Sometimes they would play that Low Rider song during the Limbo. Yeah. That's what I think about. The whole time that I'm playing Mega Lo Mania, that song is playing in my head.
Just that horn section over. That explains a lot today. Because you played a lot of Mega Lo Mania this week, didn't you?
I have. I've played it a ton.
Because you seem a little more insane than usual. That's why I asked.
I'm wired on Mega Lo Mania.
Mega Lo Mania's running wild.
It is.
Not for me, it's not. The low part is.
Can you get any lower than where you are in the Mega Lo Mania poll?
Yeah.
So, Aaron, what's been going on our site this week on everythingamiga.com?
I'm glad you asked, because for once, I've had a chance to look over the offerings from our beloved Dreamcatcher. And this time out, the Dreamcatcher has touched a nerve. I pulled my heartstring, if you will. And he's talking about a game I actually did an Amigos play on some time ago. It was one of my favorite moments in the history of Amigos plays for me, because it was me playing the Karate Kid Part 2.
Ooh, this is almost a different story than the one that I pulled up.
Go to the, that's 1010. We'll get to him.
Okay.
So, Karate Kid Part 2 is a great film. I love this movie. I love the original Karate Kid.
Now, Karate Kid 2 is the one where they smash up all the bonsai trees at the beginning,
That's right.
Yeah.
Horribly.
Yeah, I hate that.
So, in the original Karate Kid, Daniel LaRussa is smacked around.
What was his real name?
Ralph Macchio.
Ralph Macchio. I always thought they should have just called him that. That was a much cooler name.
It is a good name.
Yeah.
Anyway, and he's a Jersey boy transported to California, a lot like me.
He was also like 47 when playing this teenage kid.
And he went to California, and of course, what happens when you're a Jersey guy? You roll into Cali.
You get the beat down.
Here come the beach jerks.
Yep.
The 1980s beach jerks hone into view.
Right.
So I've mentioned this on the show, but I'm going to mention it again. I was at one of the Karate Kid tournaments where they were studying up on how to shoot stuff, and everyone got patches. So I didn't get jack squat from this tournament. I got beat up. But I remember I was like, I got to see this Karate Kid. When I saw it, I was like, man, this is great, because I was in the karate. He's a kid.
You can't tell me you don't have at least one photo of you in your gi.
Oh, I do have that.
You need to provide the show with
Listen,
that.
what am I? This isn't the Aaron show. I don't want to hog all the spotlight, but I'm a brown belt.
Yeah, don't sell yourself short.
A third degree brown belt. Coached him StateCon. So anyway, great. So when the movie came out, the second movie, I was good to go. Right? What you got in this? Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi, fly to Okinawa. Check. Right? They go there to fight Mr. Miyagi's jerk rival, right? And he's got an even bigger jerk kid.
Yeah, he does.
So you got an old guy for the other old guy. You got a kid for the kid.
It's really a perfect setup.
Then you got the hot
Japanese girl
chick.
Do it to me every time.
Hey, listen, beautiful girl. And so, and then you get the backdrop of a storm-ridden Okinawa in a military base. You go, and then that's your flick, right? Daniel's breaking ice. There's a castle. There's a gimmick where he dodges a cannery. What cannery has a swinging blade? What is that thing for, by the way? You ever notice that?
Yeah, I don't know.
What the hell is that?
I don't know what that was about.
I like to open our cans right here with this giant swinging blade. I'm sure.
It's like the pit and the pendulum.
How many people get killed at this? No wonder they closed this cannery down. So, anywho, I love this movie. I liked it way more than the first one. Had the Glory of Love by Peter Cetera, the love theme from this movie. I love that song. So when they made a game of it, I was in. I didn't know about this game until we were doing the Amigos, and I played this game. And the game's not that good, but it's some parts are sort of fun, and there's some awesome parts where they focus in with a big cool animated gimmick of Daniel-san breaking that ice in that bar. Remember?
Yeah, this was I played this mostly on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Really? So it's the same game?
Yeah.
Is it? And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Now, of course, Dreamcatcher goes into some other gameage here, and we're looking at Way of the Exploding Fist, another game which I thought was okay. I was okay. There it is.
Yeah.
The hook of death. But I love this. Good stuff. I love the movie. I know a lot of people didn't like the second movie. It made a lot of money.
Man.
These are dumb guys.
Yeah, I love the second one.
And the thing is, it's got a nice message at the end. Because at the end, Chosen's been such a jerk through the whole movie. At the end, Daniel-san has him down. He's getting ready to give him the super whammadine punch of death.
Yep.
And he has the old nose job.
The old Three Stooges guy.
What a jerk.
Yep.
So he took away his honor and his pride. I love that. Leave him bare naked there. He's got nothing.
Yeah.
Good luck living in Okinawa, jerk.
He had to move soon
And your
after
jerk
that.
dad, too, who was also a jerk, Also, never been attacked by a tree was in there. Love that. So, I recommend this. Now, he also had another offering up there, Bo. Back up. You clicked on that one accidentally first. This one I did not see come up. This is the 1010 on the moon. The moon. I don't believe we talked about this last week. Now, 1010 was a thing.
1010 continues to be a thing.
Now, I don't know, honestly, I don't know jack diddly squat about 1010.
So for the first 9/10 of my life, I thought
You look like him.
I sort of do. Most people say that. I always thought about 1010 as Ren 1010 Canine Cop, which was a show that was on the Family Channel
Ren
back in the
1010.
day.
Oh, that would be, that's based on the classic series of Ren 1010. Yeah.
But 1010 is actually a dude. Not actually a dog. And this is another one of those weird Belgian comics, sort of like North and South, that we never really got here. But they made a movie, a 1010 movie that was like a CGI thing that just came out a couple of years ago.
It died a death. Well,
it's because no one knows who 1010 is in the United States.
If they'd released it in Belgium, they'd be laughing.
Yeah. So this is the 1010 game. Dreamcatcher gives it a rundown with some great shots from the comics. It's so weird how comics that aren't based on superheroes just never took off here in the United States. I mean, I can't think of any meaningful, popular comic that wasn't a superhero comic here.
Oh, now let's ponder. Now, see, I'm gonna. There's a but there, and the but is, and you're young. You're a young man.
I am.
When I was a young fellow, the Sunday funnies were a big deal.
Well, I don't count those as
They
comic
do
books,
count
though.
because they would get it. Like you would see.
Don't tell me you read the Phantom and all that lame nonsense.
No, not. I'm talking about. You said non-hero comics.
Yeah.
I'm talking like stuff like Hagar the Horrible.
He was a hero.
Okay, Blondie. How about that?
Okay. But I don't count the strips.
The Wizard of Id. But I mean, those things would get compiled. Okay, how about this one?
The same thing.
Bloom County.
Well, it's the answer.
That's Aaron for the win.
The answer you're looking for is Archie. Okay?
No, because Archie's been around forever.
Yeah, but it's a non-hero comic that was very successful in the United States.
So is Bloom County?
Bloom County is a strip.
Okay, what about Doonesbury?
Book. It's a strip. It's not. Sometimes it's just like two panels. Archie is the correct answer to this question.
Family Circle.
Family Circle, not a comic. It's
Richie
Family Circus.
Rich.
That's
there's another one.
Okay,
Man, I'm slaying you here.
Well, you're not really.
What about Dot? All those Harvey comic people, they were all losers.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Dot, you don't remember Dot? Her thing was having a bunch of dots on her.
That seems weird.
Well, she was sort of a thing.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Was it like the It Girl?
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
So.
We got one more Dreamcatcher article. This is about Apidia. Do you know anything about Apidia?
Yeah, it's well, maybe I don't. I thought it was a shooting based.
It is. It's a shoot 'em up. Looks like it's got some anime elements.
Oh, it's funny. I'd forgotten about all this crap at the beginning.
Have you played Apidia before?
I have played Apidia. It's a bug based shooting game. And now, why did you say it like you knew it was garbage? That was a horrible noise.
Well, if
it's pretty good. It's bug. You're a bug. It's cool.
I don't like games where you play as a bug.
Why?
I don't like to feel small. I want to feel powerful.
Well, listen, you're killing other bugs.
That doesn't mean anything.
You're a bee. You got that going for you. Anyway, that's what it is. I've forgotten about the anime connection. And clearly, I never got anywhere near this stuff. As I watched the page go by, that looks pretty cool. I don't remember thinking this game was any great shakes, but I like the plot. So there
what was the plot?
You're a bug.
You're a bug. Shooting other bugs?
Bugs are asking for it. I mean,
That's
look at
true.
it. Cool art,
It's a bug-eat-bug world.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
Go read Dreamcatcher. And by the way, as I mentioned every couple of weeks, his YouTube channel is full of all kinds of crazy stuff. So go there too.
Absolutely.
I demand it.
What's been going on the old YouTube channel, Aaron?
Oh, Boat, you've been quite the star this week in 2 elaborate productions. First, you did a joystick. In fact, the joystick is right here.
It's right there.
Boat.
You can show it live on the air.
I can't see it right now, but I'll kind of hold it.
No, it's there.
Oh, okay.
We're on the
look,
screen.
Look at that. It's the Boat. What do you call this thing?
This
Boat,
is the Mini Monster joystick.
and
the basic Mini Monster.
You know, feels okay. I mean, sticks a little loose, but not too bad. Some people like it like that.
It
the
feels
buttons are what'd you say?
They're convex.
Convex, which that's no good.
Yeah,
that.
You've never played a game outside the United States where they're all like
I have heard that. I wonder why that is.
I don't know. It's a weird thing. You know, it's just like the ball top. In the United States, we were all bat top all the time.
Well, you know, I can go on those. I mean, the stick feels loose, but it's not bad.
It doesn't feel that loose.
It's got some good clicking, going on here, Boat. And so this is your video of you putting this thing together.
Yeah. So basically, I ordered this stick from Monster Joysticks. This is the cheapest stick that they have. Because that's my way.
Now I see these sticks. Someone has these as a sponsor. I'm trying to think who it is. I know I've seen them. Talk about
Retro Man Cave at the beginning of every show.
That's it. That's it. I know it, but
he's here in the chat right now.
Yeah, so look, we're pitching for you.
That's
Retro.
right.
Now, so this is the low end.
Make sure you go to monsterjoystick.com/retromancave for 10% off your first order.
There it is.
I just made that up.
Oh, okay. Well,
so the basic Mini Monster joystick is, even though it's the cheapest one, it's still, I feel like it's pretty high quality. I mean, I've done a lot of joystick installs on my various arcade machines over the years.
Yeah.
And this feels just as good as any of the Sanwa parts that I have. The case itself is very solid, and you can hold it in your lap comfortably while you play. This was something that I just tested out. I did a little pre-stream before the show this week, and I tested out the how good it felt in the lap. And I will say it's much more comfortable to play this thing playing shooters. I love the Epic stick, the XJ500, but the way that the trigger is, your finger gets worn out, squeezing in like this. This thing, you can just go to town all day on the fire button.
Yeah.
I prefer the convex buttons just because, I don't know, maybe I just dare to be different.
I don't know why I don't like them. I can't. Maybe it's because I've never. It didn't grow. Now let me ask you. This this switch on the back. What's that do?
So the switch on the back actually remaps up to the second fire button.
Oh, that gimmick. Okay.
Yeah.
And now, because it is long though, and it sticks out a little bit.
Well,
there,
it makes it easy to push.
Yeah. And do you want to reveal the price that you paid?
So I paid. If you're in the United States, you can expect to pay about $50, including shipping for this thing, which I felt was pretty reasonable.
So it's got a little serial port connection.
Yeah, it's got a 9-pin, so you can hook it up to your Atari, your Spectrum, whatever you've got.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So expect good times to come on future streams with this thing. I think for the price, it's a good deal. I had a stick before that was a 6-button stick that I got for a cheaper price, but it didn't have, it's hard to find a 9-pin solution. If you want to play classic, if you're into emulators, this is not a good deal. You can find fight sticks and stuff for much, much cheaper. But if you need something that can plug into an Atari, if you need something that can plug into a Spectrum, this is really the most cost-effective way to do it. And like I said, it's very high quality, so I highly recommend it.
And did you have any trouble putting it together?
I had no problems putting it together, except for the fact that I switched the buttons when I first put it together, and I had to take it apart and do it the right way the second time.
So what you're saying is someone could take this stick, buy this stick. How much would you say the cost was again?
About $50.
$50, and they could get this, stick it on their Amiga, for example.
Right, absolutely.
And then it's go time.
Yeah, because you can remap that up to the second fire button. You can play all of those platformers that are impossible to play with up for jump. And here's the thing: see how there's a little connection, like a Molex thing there. You don't have to individually wire each joystick direction.
That's probably a pick that. I will say I don't have particularly large hands. I'm normal dude. I could play. The good thing about being a tubby guy, you got the old gut.
Put it on the gut, yeah, man.
The gut, and the thing is, this thing has a cutout. It's a gut out.
Yeah,
right there.
There are times that I miss my gut.
And you put that sucker right there, and then bam. And so, because I wouldn't want to put it in a lap, I'd actually go to work right there.
Yeah, just yesterday I was eating some pizza, and I missed because I used to come out pretty far, and you put the pizza up there. It's a good thing to have.
I will
sometimes.
say this: if you keep eating the pizza, you're back.
That's true.
It's that quick. You'll be right back with us. That's a good looking. It's a pretty good looking stick, Boat. And the thing is, I guess if you really felt froggy, you could probably swap out these parts and lay down the line.
That's the thing. Later on, if I want to get creative and try some genuine Sanwa parts, it's no problem at all because this is the same shell for both sticks.
Now let's move along here. Now here's another one I want to talk about that me and you got into. And this hasn't got a ton of views. It's funny, our insert this too. Our most and least viewed show by far. And I don't know, we didn't mean to even record it, but we had a conversation
How
about
do you have this up here twice?
About
That's the live
Olympics.
version.
That's
okay.
right. And so this is insert this too. Are there any more Olympic heroes? Wrong one, Boat.
Oh, that's not
And
the
so
right thing.
we had a discussion about this last time on a live stream, and I've listened to this show twice. Mm-hmm. Because every time I listen to it, it's more and more ridiculous.
It is a pretty epic rant that you
Yeah.
go on here, where
Yeah.
you sing the praises of Mary Lou Retton for 201 episodes, and then you utterly destroy her.
No,
in this
I destroy
episode.
her sport, to be fair. I would never destroy sweet Mary Lou. She's the darling of America. But if you want to hear us break down esports and the Olympics and judge sports and the hierarchy of sports, someone said this was like listening to two of his chums at the pub talking about crap. That's us.
That is us to a T.
We're sort of at a pub, the boat pub, and we're talking about crap. And also, we were very inspired by Daley Thompson and his decathlon. So I recommend that just because it was a personal favorite of mine. Now, this week on ARG Presents, let's go there since it's right there in line. The Brent reveals his alleged dyslexia, among other things.
I can tell you weren't buying that at all.
Well,
You totally
I've never
poo-pooed that.
heard this, and he's my brother. All of a sudden, I just
ain't
don't
heavy.
think he likes to read. But this week we violently tackled. I think we were tackled by a wall of text. It was Text Adventure Week on ARG. I do a little history of Infocom. You know, I didn't know what had happened to Infocom, and it was very sad that that was kind of a bummer. You know, the way they went down. Have you?
Well,
I can't remember. Did you say you listened to this one or not?
Man, I listen to every show you do.
I mean, I don't know when.
Well, the thing is, when you were like, they wanted to put in graphics early on and nobody wanted to do it, I knew they were doomed because people are not going to stand for the text only for past a certain date. That sort of wears thin on you. Yes. You know, you don't see too many people producing games. Now, it's just like Brent said. Brent is right. I'm surprised at how often Brent is right and you're utterly wrong on
I'm
these
surprised
shows.
how often you agree with someone who's an idiot.
You know, they could have continued on making text-only games, but they wouldn't have been able to keep the staff of 300 employees that they had. I mean, they could have 100 employees that they had. So, I mean, they wanted to be at the top of the pile in perpetuity, but you've got to move with the times. I mean,
No, you're right. Listen, I didn't disagree with that. When they said we don't like graphics, but you got to think though, if you're an artist that works in oils and someone says, "Hey, jerk, time to move on to charcoal," and you're like, "What?"
Well, if the person that's paying you very, very well to paint says that,
but, I mean, it's
you might
tough
listen to
if you're
it.
a master of oils, and then at charcoal you're like, It's tough to be like, well, I guess I'll go over do some subpar crap.
I've never been a master of oils. I wouldn't know how that
Listen,
feels like.
let me tell you something. It feels great. So anyway, ARG, we do a couple games, and also Brent picked and once again, he has a talent for picking the stupidest, most idiotically represented game you can find. The one that doesn't work. The odd that he's done it again with this particular choice.
It is very true.
So. Let's go back to the videos here, but I think I got a couple more here. I want to talk about.
We didn't talk about last week's Our Sinclair, so we should probably talk about that.
Go ahead, Bo.
Okay. So last week on Our Sinclair, we covered the legendary hero to all Britons, Daley Thompson's decathlon.
Roy had trouble getting that out, didn't you, Vote?
So, Daley Thompson, Olympic hero, decathlete to the stars. His game.
A damn handsome man.
Yeah, not unlike track and field. But, however,
I didn't like it at all.
I was thinking about the fact that, this game, all of the events in this are the events of the decathlon. I went back and I watched a ton of Daley Thompson after we finished the show. And, I mean, if you were going to make a running game or a jumping game, could you make it any different than track and field? I mean, could you represent those movements any other way than waggling?
Yeah, probably. If you were set
How would you do it?
Well, it depends. Like, for example, you could change perspective to where you're looking towards the event. You're like, for example, a long jump, and maybe at that point it becomes a timing game. Like with your instead of waggling or button smacking, maybe it's like a step. Like in summer games, the swimming event,
swimming
stroke. Like, also, you could do it like it's funny, they actually did it themselves in their own game. The 1,500 meters is
true.
way different.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and also,
It's not
I'm
a
not
total
a game
track and field
programmer. I'm just
ripoff,
some
yeah.
goober. So, if I could come up with a couple dumb ideas, someone that's a genius can be like, well, here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
But that much said, listen, if you're going to rip off something, like I said, do it a good job. I can't watch Daily Run now without thinking of the high stepping he does. Because I just watch him. I mean, he really is getting up
Neon
there.
Dion.
So, yeah, I had so much fun with the old Daily Thompson. I can't wait till we do the next one. I think lastly, we should talk about, and we mentioned this last week, but Reshoot R. There's a video here, Bo. Let's talk about this.
So this was the dunk, I believe, coming up strong.
The big dunk, slam dunk on this one. It's been very popular. This is him giving Reshoot R. I don't like the name that much. I don't know what that means.
It's like reshooter.
Yeah, I get it, but I don't get it.
Well, I don't get it either.
Splitterschnicken, that right there.
Spielschreiber.
So this was a look at the shoot 'em up, and it really is an interesting looking game. I know you sort of crapped on it last week.
Yeah, I continue to crap on it this week.
Why?
Because it looks like Super Stardust. It's like, okay, let's make.
But Super Stardust wasn't a scrolling shooter.
Yeah, but it's like let's take the asteroids from Super Stardust and let's put them on a horizontally scrolling game that really brings nothing new to the table. And here you have it.
You haven't played it yet, though. You don't know that.
Well, I've looked at it.
I think it looks nice. I think it was a real attractive looking shooter. I think that look at the beautiful. Did you see the power up was even in 3D and it was rotating? I mean, or the eye stalk. Those are clever. They're very nice graphical.
I don't need to see any more eye stalks than absolutely necessary.
Also, the ship perpetually rotates. It reminds me of if the ship from Asteroids got zoomed in on, and this is what you would get. This is what the actual ship looked like in non-vectors. I think it looks real good. It's got nice backgrounds. It's got the foregrounds that are like, come in and out of focus. I like that stuff. I think you're being too hard on it.
Maybe so.
I think you should reserve judgment until we actually play the game.
Okay.
So there you go. But anyway, the big dunk, took care of business on that one. So that's what I'm looking forward to actually trying. I know you're a naysayer, but I'm not. Plus, I want to support the folks that are out there in the trenches making new Amiga stuff.
That's true. Speaking of new Amiga stuff, this has been a crazy week for Amiga news.
There it is.
This week,
I know
Aaron,
nothing.
We've got a parade of stories, okay?
Yeah.
First of all, this is actually just a public service announcement. I discovered this. This is the ultimate guide to Amiga PD games. A couple of people shared this with me. Pixels at Dawn. I think Graham was involved. Maybe Figgy. But this is a
Is it?
What?
Just go ahead and spit it out, Bo. What is it?
It's an ebook.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I saw this go up on Discord.
It's also a printed book. The printed book is very expensive. It's like $40, but
holy moly!
This is like 300 pages of PD games for the Amiga, and there's a little review for each one. I bought the Kindle version. It costs $2.
Good
so
deal.
this is a much better deal than the printed version, although you can't put it on your shelf. But I'm finding all kinds of awesome games that I never knew about on the Amiga.
Have they mentioned the games that we've covered, like Super Bob Dylan?
I haven't come across any of the games that we've covered yet. Yeah, the public domain scene on the Amiga has to be the most fully fleshed out public domain scene of any computer platform. I mean, there were so many great games. I mean, I've never actually played
the PC
most of it,
one
but
was
these
pretty fleshed out.
Well, the PC one had a much longer lifespan.
Yeah, I'm
too.
just saying.
But if you're looking to find some cool sort of under the radar games, definitely check this out. This is available on Amazon. All of the profits made from this thing go to charity. There's I think it's some sort of a mental health education charity. I can't remember the exact abbreviation of the name, but anyway, it's for a good cause. The printed book version, that's just what it costs to have a 300-page book printed on Amazon Print on Demand. So nobody's making any money on this thing. Check it out. It's really good.
Let's see who wrote this. Graham Humphrey, Robert Hazelby,
Christian Clark,
and Life School.
Life School. Do you know who Life
Christian
School
Clark
is?
is the general editor.
Do you know who Life School is?
I don't.
He's one of the main men over at Lemon Amiga.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
You know what I think when I hear his name? Girls' School. Remember that song, Girls' School? At the Girls' School. No.
Boy, that sounds awful.
It is not a good song. No.
MinCap is the name of the charity.
I can't remember who sang Girls' School. It may have been the band Girls' School, but I'm not sure.
Was it Skid Row?
No. Skid Row would not have touched Girls' School. That's a good bargain, though. You can't have enough PD.
Next up, Aaron, you're going to love this. This is this is one of your favorite titles coming to the Amiga as a remake. Normally,
snap.
Normally we don't cover games in progress, but I wanted to make an exception because I know you love Hero, and Hero is coming to the Amiga. Yeah.
Yes.
So what
Awesome.
what did you like about Hero?
What did I like about
Yeah.
it? It's just, when it first came out on the Atari, straight up, it was just a beautiful looking game. People forget. It's hard to explain to somebody now, but like sometimes you would just look at a game and be like, wow, that's the best thing I've ever seen. And Hero just looked awesome. Secondly, it was a neat adventure game. You were going underground. And you had the helicopter pack, and you were rescuing people. Those kind of games, really, I don't know if I'd ever seen one where you went and rescued guys like that. It was neat. It flowed well, and it was not too deep, but it was deep enough to make it fun. We also played the SG-1000 version of this, and we had a good time playing that too, didn't we? So
Yeah.
we've played this on multiple systems. I can't wait to see that, and it looks pretty good there too.
Yeah. So thanks to Indie Retro News for that tip. Hero coming soon. All right, Aaron, next up, we're going to talk about one of our favorite channels on YouTube. This is Retro Man Cave, who's with us right now in the chat.
I
Neil.
actually watched this. I watched this a couple days ago.
So he's got a new video up. This is Retro Tea Break with Stephen Jones, his Kickstarter experience and Amiga-inspired case. So this is the guy that made the Checkmate case that basically it turns your Amiga into something that is more easily expandable. It's a new kind of case, right? That's the idea, right?
That's right. And it was based on a previously made product that was from back in the day. In fact, I believe Steven says that they got the same people to make the plastics or something that worked on the original. Which I
Wow.
think that's neat. So they're trying to keep some of the production in the UK or whatnot. But anytime you get involved. When he started this project, I've been on board watching this for quite a while, and despite the fact that I don't know what I didn't get in, I didn't have money at the time. But I knew this was going to be a tough one to bring to market because you've got a lot of working with plastics and stuff like that. And there's a lot of intricate angles involved in this thing, and so you're going to have to really have these things machined and made very well, and that often involves working with a Chinese manufacturer. And he goes into the fact that you've got language barriers, and you've got they're doing multiple castings and stuff, so it could be real heady. And then on top of everything else, he also put a bunch of extras in that people could order if they wanted to spend the extra money. And guess what? So many people wanted them that all of a sudden there's like, crap, I got to make a ton of this stuff. And so it got to be a complicated, but this, and like I said, I think we mentioned Steve in there a while back, because like I said, he was the guy that interviewed the fellow from Colanto, I'm pretty sure. But I'm all for this. I love this. I watched this interview. I thought it was great, and I'd love to get me one of these. And also, aside from the Amiga, you could put like a Pi in there. I could put my Atomic Pi in there probably if I wanted to.
Well, it lists the supported systems there, and it lists the Raspberry Pi as one of those systems.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if you put a Pi in there, you could put an Atomic Pi in there.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any idea what this thing goes for?
I can't. I know it wasn't super. I thought it was a reasonable price. Okay, I'll say that. But that much said, I didn't have the money to get in on it. But it was Kickstarted, and it would be surprising if he went another round. But you never know how this stuff's going to go. So much like the Spectrum Next, I've heard a lot of speculation that when they finally deliver that product, there might be another round. You never know. You never know. If you don't get on the ground floor, you don't know what's going to happen.
You might get out on the second floor.
Yeah.
You never know.
Well, when these things come out, people are going to be hotshot putting these things up on eBay for beaucoup wads of super tags.
This is right from the source. Retro Man Cave in the chat says, I think he'll be taking pre-orders again in August.
Oh, Ricky, you made my day, sir.
If you missed out, jump back in.
Outstanding. I don't know if you had it on here, but I want to mention it before we give up on the news.
Okay.
If you listen to, we mentioned Retro Hour last week where we had the Guru Boys on. This week, the whole show is about the Vectrix. And Bode, I'm a big old fan of the old Vectrix.
Yeah, you are.
And,
remember when you showed my buddy Juan the Vectrix?
I love that. I was so joyous to see someone so happy to see a Vectrix.
Until it died.
Well, it's not dead. It's just a reset button got swapped. It's fine. I love. We're very fortunate, but that a lot of the people that hang out in our Discord and stuff, or we're buddies with, have great material. And Retro Man Cave always does, and also the Retro Hour guys And so this is another excellent retro hour about the Vector. So I want to recommend that as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, well, the news rolls on, Aaron.
Keep on trucking.
Because it's been a while since we checked in with our friend Lo Farius, Amiga Rama
Double
podcast. The Lo.
Mega Lo, if you will.
Yeah, Mega Lo Farius. He's back, episode 84. Can you believe he's up to episode 8? It seems like just yesterday that he started his show.
He's rolling and rolling.
Yeah,
Man.
Sim City. Can you imagine? We have not covered. Have we covered Sim City yet on the show?
You went up 10 octaves there. I don't know, Vaughn. I don't recall doing SimCity, but we've how many episodes have we done? 200 and some?
This is 204, I believe.
Is it really?
203.
I don't know. You know, SimCity, I know you love you some SimCity.
I do.
It seems like we covered that on ARG. Did you play this on something?
Who knows, man?
Yeah,
I don't think we've covered SimCity. Maybe one day we'll get to it, but if you can't wait, check out Lo Farius' take, because I'm sure it'll be better.
Lo Farius, I'll listen to all of his shows, and he's great. And he's a jolly guy.
He is a jolly man.
There's something to be said for people that are happy. You know, I mean, I like that. I like
do
a good
too.
Positive.
There's so much negativity in the world
Well,
today.
you know, the retro community, generally, when you have podcasts and shows, people are nice and happy, perky, they're excited. You know, I like that. You don't want to hear some guy talk about how crappy things are.
Unless you listen to Shane R. Monroe.
Hey, listen, now let's don't rag on Shane.
All right, coming up next, Aaron, listen, man.
There's a ton of news. You weren't kidding.
Yeah. Right now,
Yeah.
there is a new 2D game engine available for the Amiga.
Oh,
okay,
yeah?
so this isn't news that's necessarily about a specific game, but if you are a game creator, there is a new engine that you can use to create, and this engine is called the 2D Amiga game engine. I thought it had a cool name, but it doesn't. And anyway, this is just an example. I've got linked up here the different kinds of games that you can make with this 2D game engine, but it looks really, really cool. So if you are in the market to start a new project on the Amiga and you want, maybe a more modern engine to work with, looks like a Zelda type game here. There's a side-scrolling game. Check out this game engine. Again, this can be found on indieretronews.com. Our buddy Neil.
Oh, don't you wish that you had the jack to make a game?
Man, yeah.
I mean, we don't know. We couldn't do anything.
Step one, I'm lost.
You could do music. We could record it. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, I would love that. But I mean, also, I don't know if I could design a game. Like, what would it be?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
There is nothing about game design that I could do.
You know, I'm one of these people that just is more than happy to play someone else's brilliance and just as I drool.
Just nod along,
Because
yeah.
I don't have I don't have the brain.
You know, Aaron, for the first probably 50 to 100 episodes of Amigos, we talked about the new keycaps project on almost every episode.
It was the new Defender of the Crown.
I'm happy to announce that there is more to be had from our
batch
folks
two.
over at a1200.net. And this has to do not so much with the keycaps themselves, but there is a new thing coming up, and I can't even find where it is, but there's a new update from a1200.net. I wish that I'd put it in the show notes because I cannot remember what it is.
There you go.
Duncan put a screenshot to the place that I should have read from. This is a total botch on my part. Check back to a1200.net. Check back next week, and I'll tell you exactly.
Can you summarize exactly what's happening?
I can't even remember what it wasn't. Keycaps.
I tried to give you an out there.
It was something else. It wasn't the keycaps, but there's something new and exciting coming from a1200.net. It's down at the bottom. Duncan, just tell me what it is.
Keycaps are pretty exciting. Now you're moved into the comment. New Amiga keyboard spec.
Oh, that's right. That's what it is. It's a new mechanical keyboard for the Amiga.
Ooh, mechanical.
So
snap.
This is a thing that people like to use these days.
I've got a mechanical keyboard on my PC.
At some point in the past, yeah, everyone started this keyboard right here.
Not good
enough.
Yeah,
for most of your hardcore Amiga fans, not good enough. You got to have a mechanical keyboard.
Yes.
Tell me, would you be interested in a mechanical keyboard for your Amiga?
It depends on what it required me to do with my current keyboard. Because here's the thing. I've got a good friend of mine, Good Matt, gave me a lovely, classic mechanical keyboard.
One of those IBM.
And it sounds great. It feels great. Man, I get up on that thing, go to work. Like freaking an artist, like Mozart. I'm one. And if you don't have one, you've got your slogging around all these things.
Yeah.
You can't fully understand the difference. And I read some comments you made about how the mechanical keyboards weren't for you, Listen, don't give me that. There's the difference between a really solid trumpet, big silver Bach, and some crap that you buy at the junk store. And you know what I'm talking about.
That's true.
So, would I be interested in one for the Amiga? Yes, if the price was right, and if I didn't have to like rip it to shreds, I would be interested. I did hear about this, and I was sort of excited. That would be cool.
So there is no time frame available for this. This is just somewhere in the future.
I think that's an excellent thing to do. I love that.
Okay, next up.
I thought this is about me. Super hot.
There is a new podcast from our buddy Erla and his friends over at Amiga Ireland. This is a new Amiga Ireland podcast. I know that we always like to check in with these guys from time to time. Their new episode is called Super Hot.
Those are your boys.
Yeah, and so they round up the news. They talk about different things going on in the scene. So if you want some Amiga news from an Irish perspective, make sure you check out the Amiga Ireland
I listen
podcast.
to this quite often, actually, and thankfully I can understand the majority of what they say, because it is what it is.
Do they sometimes break into Gaelic without warning?
No, well, no.
No, okay. I was just curious. And finally, Aaron, this is more of a PSA. Our good buddy Pixels at Dawn recently bought an Amiga 600.
Excellent. Well done, sir. I do remember reading that.
He powered it up and he noticed that it needed to be recapped. It's just one of those things that happens to every guy, you know. But anyway, this is Amiga Passion. This is a service out of the UK, and it comes highly recommended. If you have an Amiga that needs recapped, head on over to amigapassion.co.uk and chat to this guy. He's very responsive. Apparently, we've had nothing but good reviews from our folks on the Discord. I guess he does Commodore and Amiga recaps, and I just want to put that out there because I'm sure that there's quite a few guys out there that need a recapped computer, and if you are in the UK or close by, maybe check this guy out. It might save you some trouble.
When you go to recap these things, now I have not recapped an Amiga, but if you look on some of the Amigas, the ones that have the pin, anybody can recap any machine that has a pin through hole electrolytic big barrel caps. That's not that tough. But when you get to the surface mount caps,
and that's the thing. This guy only does the later model Amigas that have those crazy things.
What you've got to do is, and there are several schools of thought. If you go and look at our good buddy, the Huck, Gary Huck, I don't know if he's in the room here, and of course, or Retro Man Cave, because Lord knows if you want to see a dude change some caps, there's your dude right there. He's a cap changing individual. But what I like to do with those surface mount caps is use my forbidden tools, which I've got access to a hot air knife. You get in there, turn that sucker up, get you a good pair of tweezers, and just rip, 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 pop those suckers, bam, you're out.
You're done.
But if you don't have a hot air knife, you're not out. You're in. And so you've got to do some stuff like Gary does. Everyone's got an angle. What's the worst thing that can happen if you pop a cap off on these things, right? Popping a cap, you rip the land material, you rip the pad off, right? Well, then you're into a whole different universe of pain. Then you're doing land repair. You're getting in there with your X-Acto knife, you're skinning the top of that land, you're soldering on a new pad. It's disaster time. If you're not experienced, you could botch this sucker like that. No more Amiga, all right? You could kill these things dead. So a service that if the guy charges you a decent rate, just give it to the guy. Even someone who's experienced, I think Retro will back me up on this. I mean, he does it because he's got a show. It's important to do it. He show people, but I mean, if you don't have a show, it's just some guy, right? And your time is valuable. Send it to somebody because they're going to do a better job. It's probably guaranteed, and you don't have to go through the headaches of trying to do this yourself. It can be a disaster if you mess up. I can tell you that from experience.
Do you ever use the hot air knife through butter?
Absolutely.
Because that would be my number one thing that I do.
Yeah,
with
have you
hot
ever
air
touched
knife.
the hot air knife?
I'm not even sure what you're talking about.
It's sort of like a lightsaber of air.
That sounds awesome.
It is, man. I'm telling you that right now.
Can you use it on any food product?
You can. Let me tell you, you can put it on. Or it's not really meant for food. It's meant for like melting solder.
Do they have like a food grade version?
Probably. You know, they've got. You never heard of those scalpels that they make that they use water to cut the human body?
I've never heard of that.
It's a thing. Look into
water to cut the human body.
Yeah, it's like a water scalpel. The water comes out so fast.
Where does the water go?
Wherever it wants. It's water. It's a thing. I'm not lying about this. You know, lasers, they're a thing, but water's a thing. So
it's also a thing.
The air knife is just it shoots hot air in a stream, and you use it to melt stuff. It's an awesome thing. But yeah, there you go. That's my nickel's worth of free advice on soldering for the day.
Well, that's going to wrap up this week's Amiga news update.
That was a thorough telling of the news.
And I didn't even go over all the stuff that's in development. We're going to wait until things are a little further along on some of these games. But if you're at all interested in stuff in development on the Amiga scene, check out Indie Retro News. He's got the scoop, him and Saberman. All right, Aaron, let's talk Mega Lo Mania.
Mega Lo Mania. First of all, let's talk about the name.
You like lo mein?
Yeah, I do, actually.
I do too. I had some last night. I had some duck lo mein.
And Mega Lo Mania. Are you kidding me?
Oh.
So, Mega Lo Mania. Shorty got low.
Did you ever watch the Tasmania cartoon? Come to Tasmania. Come to Tasmania.
See, those are those dorky geek cartoons.
This is what you say about any cartoon that was on after you were a kid.
Here's the thing. You've heard of Tasmanian Devil, right? Taz?
Yeah.
Right? That guy, right?
Yeah.
See, he originated in like the 50s. Okay?
I'm aware of that.
When you've got cartoons from back then, those are the original cartoons. They've got the same. They got Mel Blanc is doing the voice, and you've got all the same guys doing the production. Those are classics. Okay. If Joe Smith gets a set of markers for Christmas and he goes and writes a picture of Taz, and then that's the new cartoon, those aren't the classic. They just took something somebody else did, and they're like, well, heck, we might be able to do something with that. That's not the same.
So Batman the Animated Series is crap because it wasn't the original Batman.
Where was the original? Who drew the original Batman?
Jack Kirby.
No, he didn't animate him. The only Batman cartoons there were those the Super Friends or something.
So those are the original.
Listen, my point is, you can't just take a standing property and just port it forward. You can, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's great. I'm just saying, I don't like it. So there you go. I don't know where we're going here. I didn't like it. So anyway, Mega Lo Mania. First year release about 91 on this bad boy. 2 big discs. And you've got it's a one-player gimmick here. So who put this out? You know, Sensible. Right now, what are some of the things they've done? Right?
They did the soccer. They did the golf.
That's right.
Did they do Walker? Was that them?
That wasn't them. You goof. They did soccer, golf, cannon fodder.
Cannon fodder.
That's right.
It was like, kind of like Walker.
You want to sing a little bit of the song?
Yeah. Never been so much fun. Walking to your brother.
Wow.
With your gun.
Okay, that was a big mistake. So, anyway, this had the usual suspects over at Sensible taking care of business on this thing. ECS, OCS. Now, here's something that surprised me, Boatster. Now, first of all, I'm guessing you hadn't played this before this week, right?
No, never.
Me either. I'd heard about it a lot. So, get this. Look at all the various machines this came out on, Boat. Now, this blew my mind. You got your Atari ST, of course. All right. Here comes the FM Towns Marty.
Really?
I love it. It's always a Marty party with me. I love the FM Towns.
I had no idea.
The Nintendo Super Famicom / Super Nintendo. There's a DOS port, which I actually looked at. The Genesis / Mega Drive got a port of this thing under a weird name. The name on that one, Tyrants Fight Through Time.
What?
That's what they called it.
Oh my gosh.
Tyrants Dash.
Can you think of a least attractive name?
I don't know. That's not the worst. And then the final.
They should have called it Fat Worm Blows a Spark.
There you go. The final system, the Sharp X 68,000. So there was some. The Japanese were down. They liked some of the strategy stuff.
Yeah, they did.
I kind of like that. So let's talk about what this is. And
I like how your first page of notes is completely blank.
No, this is for me to write down notes during the show.
Oh, okay.
For example, if there's anything you get wrong, I jot it down.
I see. You've used that before.
Oh, yeah, many times. So, Mega Lo Mania, a very early real-time strategy game, okay? So, you start the game, and I'm going to give you my impressions of this, and then you jump in whenever I'm an idiot, okay? You start out, you pick one of 4 gods, and there's an intro piece to this that's pretty interesting.
I'm not sure if these are gods.
Well, they're some sort of cosmic force. How about that?
They're because they look like they're just like, yeah, cosmic force.
So the intro of this, it says like basically it shows like how planets are made. They're a glass ball that people gather around to enforce their will on to see who's going to be the dominant deity in this area, and people come from all over to watch them like throw down to see who's going to be the dominant player. And so you pick one of these cosmic deities who is going to tangle with another one for control of these various worlds. That's the game. You're trying to control the world, all right? So you get to pick from 4 various entities. Let's call them that. I don't want
Demigods is what they're called in the intro.
So you've got Scarlet. That's the lady.
I always
entity.
picked her.
Fiery and I'm going to read because I typed this in because I like the little descriptions. Fiery and aggressive demigoddess.
Me to a T.
Of Pleiades. How do you? I've never said Pleiades. That's right. I got. You remember that game? By the way, it's a good game too. Pleiades. Yeah. Then you've got Caesar.
I think that's Caesar.
Caesar, because Caesar's another guy. He's the green guy. By the way, one thing I like is like these guys all have a color, and you control the people of that color. So that's what the last line is. Like Scarlet controls the red people. You know, I don't know what that means.
She's fiery.
Well, I mean, I guess. So Caesar's the vindictive and unpredictable godfather of the Trapezuian Mafia.
That sounds like you.
I wish. Then you've got Oberon, the backstabbing and ruthless, self-appointed king of Algol.
There's no nice guys in this game.
And then you've got Madcap. Who would vote for this guy, by the way? Madcap, cunning and deadly Andromedan mercenary of Supreme.
I'd like it better if he was an androgynous mercenary.
There you go. So you pick these guys. Now, from what I read, there's no difference between who you pick. Okay, so there's that. But I mean, it's still the names and stuff are neat. Each level you play, you start off with you pick basically an island, a little area to play in.
Yeah, you're presented with an island that's sectioned into sections.
Now you can pick several from variety.
Well, no. It depends. Like at the very beginning of the game, the first scenario
you could pick which I could pick. I could pick the second or third at least because that's as far as I went.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Did you ever try to pick one?
I never tried that.
I did.
Okay.
And because the reason is I was trying to follow along on playthroughs, and so I would try to pick the island they were playing through so I could sort of go along to understand this game. This may come as a shock to some of you, but real-time strategy, not necessarily my bag, but I gave it a whirl. So at the beginning of the level, you decide where you're going to play, you decide how many people you're going to deploy, all right, out of 100 that you start off with. So once you decide how many you're going to deploy, and then you lay down the point where you're going to put your home base on this tiny little map. One thing I noticed about this game, and please jump in if I screw this up. The screen is sort of divided into 2 sections. You've got a section on the left that's got the map. It's got the other people on the map, and it's got like what you've got your guy doing. And then on the right side, you've got a graphical depiction of the area you're looking at.
We call it the action zone.
Okay. Well, the action zone is effectively worthless. It doesn't really. It could not be there, and it wouldn't affect the game, would it?
That's 100% true.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, see, I'm not that far behind after all. So once the game starts, like for example, the first level, you've got just a couple grid spots. These maps are divided into grids. You and one other enemy. All right, and all you have to do is try to kill that enemy.
Let me go back.
Yeah, please go ahead.
95% true.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so when you put your army down and you're fighting against another army, you may want to retreat. You may be getting slaughtered, and you may want to take your guys out of there. So in that one case, you do want to. It is
you have
important
to
be
right
in the
click on that
action zone.
area.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that one. That's true. So you've got your plot of land. The enemy's got their plot of land. What do you do? All right. Well, this game, and from what I understand, this seems to be a very early version of this. And Bo, you can stop me if I'm wrong. This game lets you decide on how to allocate your manpower to make new stuff. And so you can deploy X amount of guys to make weapons or defensive things, and you've got you can put as many or as few as you want on there. So I adopted the same strategy Boat did early on. I took all my guys and put them into the rock throwing zone. And so my little caveman, this takes place in different time periods. My cavemen all became experts in the ancient art of tossing a stone at another sucker to kill them. And then once I would do that, you can take them out of that, and you can put them on the map, and you can have them overrun the other guy, just beat the tar out of him with rocks, wreck his house, and you're past the level. Now the difficulty on this ramps up, and I will say I thought it ramped up at a pretty moderate pace.
Oh yeah.
it's not like you're the second level you go out and just get murdered, or in the third level. Like I could get, I'd say 5 or 6 levels in before stuff started going south on me. Yeah, not that, about 4 or 5. But it all stems back to gathering resources, all right? Deploying your men strategically in a way that will help you manufacture or come up with a skill you need for whatever you're after.
All right, so let me stop you there.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna quote the great Chris Folds, learned scholar. So you've got to gather, you've got to design, and you've got to build. Okay, one of the things that makes this different than most real-time strategy games is that you actually have to design what you want to build. So you have to research a thing in order to get a blueprint.
It's like a civilization.
And it's like exactly And then once you have the blueprint made, then you can tell your guys, I want you guys to make the rock throwing guy. Or rock throwing is a bad example because you can do that without a blueprint.
Right.
But a lot of the technologies, the slingshot, a lot of the things in this game you have to get a blueprint for. So the way that this game works is the position that you choose at the beginning when you're picking your placement is very important. And one of the flaws in this game is that you don't get any information about what resources the particular spot on the island that you pick has. So in a modern game, when you mouse over a section of the island at the beginning, you might get a view of the resources. So basically what you're looking for in this game is more than just sticks and stones. You're looking for some sort of a mineral that you can mine, okay? So if you are lucky enough to place your people in an area where you can mine, you actually, before you can even make the blueprint, you have to send some people out to gather those resources. For sticks and stones, they'll do that automatically, okay? So how do you tell if there is a thing to be mined? Well, if you click on the research button, it will tell you, or not the research button, but there's like a little thing at the bottom of the screen that'll tell you like the resources that are available. The mine itself looks like a big asteroid pit that hits the bottom. So you get enough of the material. First of all, you just have to get some of the material. It's sort of an indiscriminate amount. Once you get an indiscriminate amount of that material, then you'll have the option to research a blueprint. Then you put guys into researching that blueprint. Then once the blueprint is done, you have to put guys into actually making your army. So there's a lot of sort of build up to actually just putting your guys down. This is in stark contrast to a modern RTS like StarCraft, where the first thing you do is you send out your SCVs to gather resources. Once you have enough resources to make a thing, you just make the thing and it's there. Okay, so there's like an extra step here. And for somebody that has only played modern role-playing games, real-time strategy games, it was really confusing.
I watched your video, and what you were talking about with resource gathering and then the blueprinting, that was something you struggled with early on.
Yeah, it was just, I couldn't wrap my head around it. Yeah. And so, but once I got it, I was like, okay, this is cool. Now, where the game breaks down for me is that you are constantly having to speed up and slow down time.
And early on, it's okay. But that does you can't just leave it on full blast.
It's as much of a part of the game as any other part, and it really takes the real time out of the real-time strategy. Because you can speed up time to make things develop faster, but you better believe it that your enemy is also developing those things in that sped up time too.
Yeah, they will, and especially they will come get you and to take care of it.
And the thing is, the computer is real good at putting their army down and moving them much more quickly than you can.
Yes.
The way that you move your army in this game is real interesting. You right click to sort of like tell your army to leave, and then you left click on another square to put them down. They don't march from square to square. No. They teleport in and out, which is...
It was confusing to me at first because they didn't. When you try to withdraw them, they don't necessarily You still can see them for a while, and so they're not just. So I'm like, what's going on? But the thing says, where do you want to put them? Basically says, what dispatch your troop, wherever it is. And so so the first that was an early hurdle I had to get over. It's kind of wacky. They don't. It would be a lot easier if you just clicked somewhere and said go here, and they just march through.
Right.
And it would be more effective too, because often you'll have. Even if you blow up the other guy's citadel or whatever, he may still have troops out. So it's easier if if you could tell them where to go first, they could sort of sweep through.
I understand the reason why they don't have what you're describing. The Amiga just didn't have the scrolling available to be able to scroll through these playfields. What I don't understand is that you have to physically move your guys through each square on the board to get somewhere. That is a totally useless concept. You should be able to right-click your guys, select them, go to the square that you want them to go to, click on it, and have them go there. They can teleport. That's what teleportation is. So this game is interesting because not only are you developing like a tech tree of weapons and things, you're also moving your guys through sort of evolution of civilization. They start out pretty much naked. They've got a little loincloth on or whatever. Later on, they've got sort of like robes, like toga type things. You've got pikemen that are wearing suits of armor. You know, you move through, and eventually, I guess you get to like nuclear weapons and stuff like that.
2001 AD. Yeah, I know you can get news because I watched.
What will life be like in 2001? Can you imagine?
I don't know. I hope a couple dorks aren't doing some kind of public broadcast. That's for sure.
They probably won't start for another 15 or 20 years.
You know, this game was sensible through and through. You've got all the stuff that they always do in their games. You got the little guys, check. You've got the mouse-based gameplay, check. You've got the there's a little cannon fodder in here. I mean, you've got a little, you've got your little band of guys. This was sort of the right in line with their business, now, and it is. I don't know the history of real-time strategy. I can't sit here and say, well, here's what came first, but I know this is early on.
This is early on, and one of the things that's really cool about this is the earliest game. This is from '91. I can't think of a game from before this time that had the tooltip system like this game has. I mean, think about
you mouse over.
Yeah, think about all of the games that we've played where it's like Settlers. I think Settlers actually came after this, but like you have to look up what each one of those little symbols mean in the instructions. This game ahead of its time with the tooltips.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, although it is. And we've noticed a lot with the Amiga. This is a almost, with the exception of the tooltips that pop up, it's a wordless game. I mean, so it's all symbols.
Well, there's some spoken word in there.
Right, there is, and it's funny too. Yeah. It's like the Smurfs or something, or they have their various little sayings, and they speak them. So there is audio in it that's cool. But I'm assuming that depending on the language you pick. You will get all they had to do was basically change the mouse overs, and so it's actually quite clever.
Yeah, it really
because
is.
Without the mouse over text, you'd be screwed in this.
Because it would be like the Settlers, where you're constantly having to refer.
Where I was screwed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it would be exactly like the Settlers. I saw tons and tons of cheats for this, including the trainer that I had, and so a couple of times I played with the trainer. And I would just get, you could have 500 men set up, and so you could really go in there and raise hell.
What do you think about the whole concept of choosing a starting amount of men to go to each island?
Well, the thing is, here's the thing. I'd read a lot about this game before I even tried to play it once. And I knew that you have a finite amount of guys, and that I was going to have to delve them out in a certain way. When you don't know what you're doing, I don't know if my strategies were correct or not. I watched your video and you were pulling 20 men out and you would go do the thing. That seemed okay. Could I have gotten away with putting 5 men in it? I don't know.
Who knows? Yeah.
And I didn't try it. So I don't know. And I guess that's part of it. I'm sure the people that are really super good at this game could tell you. I do like the fact that you can make alliances. We didn't talk about that. Did you make many alliances?
Well, I had some people proposition me.
Yeah. I have quite a bit actually. Yeah. Did you go for it?
Oh yeah.
Then you stomp them.
Yeah, it's just like that movie. What was that movie with the guy and the girl and $1 million? It was the same sort of thing.
Brewster Millions. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a great flick.
It was the movie. It's like I'll sleep with you for $1 million. And
Indecent Proposal. Yeah.
This is sort of like that in video game form.
What do you mean?
Well,
So you don't mean anything then. This game had I will say that I read that a lot of people can compare this to Populous. I've never been worth a crap at Populous, as you know. We covered it. I was stinking up the joint. I was way, way, way less prepared for that than I was for this one. This is a much more. This I could almost fairly competently stagger through some of it. Okay, and let me tell you something. That's a foothold. Just give me a foothold, man. That's all I need. This is another game. I don't think I had time to really get good at it. I mean, how far did you get into it? Do you recall? There's 28 levels I read. How many levels do you think you got in?
I think I made it to the third epic.
Oh, so third? I got further than that. I got a lot further than that.
No, are you sure you're not talking about the third stage?
Oh, maybe I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's like 5 stages
wow, so
in epic.
You got quite a good ways. Do you remember the time period that you were in?
I can't remember.
That's pretty good then. Yeah. I thought the ability to determine what you're going to use as a weapon. There's a lot of options in here. There's a lot of ways to go, and it's something you can't just glean and know instantly and figure out. It was a tough game, and I read a lot of people who said this is a tough game. It's going to take a while. I was surprised. I will say for a game of this sort, were you surprised how many consoles got a port of this? I mean, apparently the Genesis version, this was pretty well received.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because this is not like StarCraft where you have to do a lot of click and drag type maneuvers. You know, like the mouse action is pretty basic.
Yeah.
So I can see how this could easily be ported to consoles. Sure.
I was actually, again, I'd heard of this game, but I didn't realize how widespread the popularity was. And it's a pretty popular game, and it was pretty well received, Boatster, as well. If you were surprised by that, so I looked this over. The people on Lemon gave it an 8.47. That's really high. Looking over the reviews, they're almost all in the 90s. 91 from Amiga Action, 93 from Amiga Computing, Amiga Force 90. I feel like we're the Amiga Force.
We are.
We should get like a
big AF shirt.
Amiga Power 90, CU Amiga 92, 0. I think that's a super vague one. 89. Pretty good scores. Now get this: the Mega Drive version was number 34 from Mega Magazine in the top Mega Drive games of all time.
Wow.
Of all the times.
Yeah, I didn't really have a lot of friends that were Genesis people, so maybe that's why I never heard about it.
Well, I mean, that is surprising to me that it got that kind of action, but it did. So it was. Of course, the Amiga version, like I said, it was very, very well received. Do you think, looking at these scores of 91%, I mean, did you get to play this enough to where you could render a decision on where you think you would place it?
Oh, this is an A+ game for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Would you go back and play this?
Absolutely. I'm going to go back and play this very soon. Now that I understand the mechanics, I feel like I can be really good. I do wish that I didn't have to deal with the time speed up, slow down thing. Like, I almost wish that they wouldn't give you that option because I always forget. Time management is always my curse.
It's real easy to forget to put it back.
Right.
It's also, one thing I learned is that the time speed up, it's your noose. I mean, you could hang yourself like that. And a lot of it just comes down to, I'm in a hurry.
Yeah.
I hate the way, that's the thing about it, is it's just like, oh, I'm in a hurry. I hate the way, like you said, the computer is Johnny on the spot, especially, on the levels where I was having trouble. I was scared to do the time thing too much because I would often just get overran. And part of it's because I'm fumbling through the menus. I didn't know what to build. And once you get something, you get the blueprint, you've got to go back and do I have the materials and all that jive. And
I mean, this is definitely, the RTS genre had a long way to go. For example, your towers that you build, like if you set a bunch of guys just by themselves, they'll build a tower, but it's never spelled out how many guys you need or how long it takes or anything like that. That sort of stuff is just sort of fudged. Just like when you get attacked, you don't have like hit points for your tower. It just sort of gets destroyed at some point with enough damage. But this is sort of, I kind of consider this to be like my first RTS. They could have called that like the subtitle.
I don't think that would have sold that good.
Probably not, but especially because RTS didn't exist as a genre when this game came out. But I mean, if you are new to the genre, this is a good kind of like get you in the door sort of thing, because it is pretty basic, but it's also a lot of fun. And it's kind of, there's some cartoonish humor that Sensible is famous for.
It's got the Sensible charm.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those games, we said this case, if you were to remake this, and just change a few things to the interface, you'd really have an easy to get into RTS. That would be a lot of fun for like you said, it'd be a good introductory for a dumb guy like myself. Because like I said, it's funny. I watched your video and I was just like, my God, I'm screwed on this game. I'm never going to figure this thing out. And I actually figured out most of the less subtle parts of it. I felt okay because anytime we do these RTS games, I'm always like, oh boy, here we go, because I don't want to come in here and look like a complete jerk. I give it a shot. I feel like the guy. Not everyone's into RTS games, and I feel like I represent the guy who's not a big fan, but I'm giving it a whirl. And so on this one, for those people that are like that, give this a whirl. It's not the worst.
Well, we did have some Discord reviews.
All right.
Duncan Styles says, when I first loaded it up. Oh wait a minute, that's.
He didn't say that.
Nope. He did. Oh yeah, he did say that. Sorry, I thought I had my Our Sinclair notes out. Duncan Styles says, when I first loaded it up and died with one hit a few times, I got annoyed at having paid real money for it. Stick with it though, and you'll get better and better. My biggest issue is that unless you get the power-ups and max out the speed and weapon. Am I reading the right? I don't think I'm reading the right thing.
What I really don't like with this game is when you don't have enough power-ups to increase your weapon.
Yeah, I think that this is from last week's show. Let me just skip that one. Let's try Lobsterminator. Okay.
I feel the edit bomb coming. Whoops.
Oh no, that's staying in. Lobsterminator says, enjoyable light strategy game that deals more in resource management than detailed warfare. After figuring out the initially confusing user interface with the help of the manual, it was simple enough to play.
Yeah.
The game adds new features at a good pace as the game progresses, so you will not be overwhelmed with learning. The biggest problem is the code-based save system that only saves per epic, not per island. An entire epic is quite long for a single play session. In conclusion, a fun strategy game that doesn't rise up to the level of a timeless classic, but one I enjoyed and will definitely return to in the future. 8 out of 10.
That's what save states are for, yo.
Yeah.
I played this a lot on the old PC when I had some spare time during breaks and stuff at work, and so I was saving early and often.
Chris Folds says, I describe this game as RTS light. It is fast-paced, has a good amount of depth without getting bogged down with interesting, if yet again, simplistic tech trees. You have to constantly be in the sweet spot of gathering, research, and conquer. A great attempt to make this type of game more accessible, but then to fans of the genre, it means lacking in certain aspects. 7 out of 10. Graham says, Graham Vebke, an approachable, godlike, real-time strategy game which I have played more on the Atari ST. Boo.
He was an ST guy.
And the Amiga version is as good. It is one of the earliest games I can recall in this genre, and it introduced the technology tree concept similar to Civilization, but similar into the genre. I can see elements of this game that influence the Settlers and Populace. And like other sensible games, like Cannon Fodder and Sensible Soccer, it's quite an addictive game that keeps you playing. 7.5 out of 10. And finally, Pixels at Dawn. He loves this game. An amazing game for the time, which I consider to be one of the first RTS games, introducing many aspects of later games a whole year before Dune 2 was released. It even had tech trees just before Civilization. Great fun to play even now with Sensible's inimitable graphics flair and sound samples that people quote to me to this day. 9 out of 10.
Yeah, if you look back at Sensible and their body of work, we'll take golf out of there. They were, they had something. They took those little fellows and did a lot with them. They really
That's
did.
very true.
And this game there's a lot of cuteness to it. And the one thing about having guys that are so small is you can add a lot of different stuff. They don't just walk around. They do a bunch of crazy stuff, And they do have the little comments. We win, nuke, blah blah blah. They say all kinds of crazy stuff.
It's all over.
Yeah. And they're sort of like less irritating lemmings. Let's go with that. eBay. Let's talk eBay, Boat. I looked this bad boy up. Now, if you are in the UK, as usual, your cup runs over. But these things weren't going cheap. I saw them going for as little as $15 and all the way up to $45. These are sold copies of this. And if you're in Germany, you can get one right now, $45 dollar bill, US. Not too bad.
Not too bad.
So and I will say I like the box art on this too. We should mention that I think it's an attractive looking game.
I'm gonna disagree with you whole hog here.
I just think it's different looking.
Do you know who Terry Pratchett is?
I do.
Okay. One of the greatest fantasy writers in the last 30 years in England. He had one of the worst artists for his covers for his books. And this box cover reminds me of like one of the early Terry Pratchett book covers. Just there's so much going on. There's not really much character. I mean, it just looks like your generic fantasy dudes. You've got the plain. I don't know. I would Populous. That's a box cover for a game like this.
The cover this reminds me of?
What's that?
A European board game. cover. That's what it reminds
think
me
so?
of. Yeah, I do. The color palette screams board game to me, and I liked it. I thought it was an interesting looking game. So there you go. They're structured folks, both.
That's right. The world don't beat to the beat of just one drum.
That's true.
We got some feedback, Aaron.
Oh man,
Some male feedback.
what's that mean?
Well, not female.
Like from
feedback.
a dude?
I mean,
okay. How come you differentiate that this week? I've never heard you specify the sex of the feedback.
I meant MAIL.
Oh, I gotcha.
This guy writes in.
Yeah.
He says, just wanted to drop a quick email to say how much I'm enjoying your podcast. I recently discovered it and picked a few older shows to listen to while keeping up to date. One of the first was the Jockey Wilson one.
Yes. Oh, I know this email.
The reason for this is that I am Scottish and I work for Kirkcaldy Fire Station, which is where Jockey is from. Your observations about Kirkcaldy when you were discussing Jockey's background is spot on. It used to be a thriving place, but has been on the decline for a very long time, almost coinciding with Jockey's decline in darts. And as you can imagine, it is a busy fire station to work at, kind of like Huntington's decline with the decline of Randy Moss. My dad was born and raised in Kirkcaldy, just where Jockey grew up, and my granddad's claim to fame was beating Jockey once in darts at his local bar.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That's like slam dunking on Jordan.
That's right. I didn't take your views on Kirkcaldy as a slight, as I was humbled that you actually took a great interest in Jockey's fascinating story. There's actually another documentary about Jockey that was on the BBC the other week. I'll post a link to the iPlayer, but I'm not sure it will work across the pond. It doesn't work. It's called Jockey Wilson Said, and it's another great watch, though I will try through nefarious means to watch it. Keep up the great work, guys. I am really glad I found the podcast from your Scottish friend, Ian McGarry.
You know, Ian, Kirkcaldy, it's funny because we don't talk about this stuff during the week that much. Like,
No.
we don't say, like, hey, what are you doing?
We
for the
never
show?
speak during the week.
And so, for whatever reason, we both watched that documentary, and we didn't say, hey, go watch this. And we both had the same feelings on Kirkcaldy, which was it was very similar to the southern coal towns of West Virginia. A beat down, like they used to have something cooking, and now they're just basically struggling. They're just existing, effectively. Much like the video you shot me over of Welch and War. What was that fella's name? The cook? Bourdain's video, which was excellent. If you see that on West Virginia, if you ever wonder what West Virginia's like, this is a pretty
Watch
good,
Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown on West Virginia.
It's a pretty good view of these southern coal fields. See, our cities aren't this bad off, our little towns, but they're bad off down there. And so we can really, we certainly didn't want to badmouth Kirkcaldy. We can relate. And we're one of the few places in America that can understand, maybe some places in Michigan maybe get it, but I mean, there's not that we understand what it's like to have your industry ripped away. It's brutal.
Yeah.
And it leaves your people naked. You're struggling. So I can understand the plight. And much like a Mary Lou Retton or a Randy Moss, when you've got a sports hero that comes out of there, it's something because you get so few joys that come out of your little dirty area. That when you get one, you really hold on to them tight. Like the fellow we had on the America's Got Talent that won that. Everyone gets behind these people because
I can't even remember what his name is.
It's sad. I used to know his name too. It's something Junior. I remember that. So I really enjoyed that episode. The game, that's the best episode we ever did. That
Landau Murphy.
Landau Eugene Murphy,
Right.
Jr. But that was a fun episode. So that's great. That's great to hear from someone that lives there. I'm glad he wasn't offended too. I would have felt really bad if
All right, Aaron. Last week, 2 weeks ago.
What's happening? What is happening?
I think it was last week. The Patreon song.
Yeah.
Okay. It was Rock Around the Clock.
Yeah, that was the most obvious one you've ever done. Even I got that one instantly.
Theme from Happy Days.
Is that really what that was? Was that not a song before Happy Days was around?
Okay. It was. Bill Haley in the comments.
In the comments. By the way, their guitarist, whoever he is, it may be Bill Haley, off the charts. Have you ever listened to their guitar work?
Oh,
that guy is a stud.
Better than the guy from Blue Oyster Cult?
You never know. Who could say? If they had a battle, I don't know.
That's what I'd like to see.
It's hard to pit musicians against one another because it's all subjective.
It is.
Unless it's college music, that stuff stinks.
Pixels at Dawn was a winner. Terry Howard, Packabilly, Gary, Heather, and Edvin Helen, congratulations, you got the right song. If you know the answer to this week's supporter song challenge, you can email me at john@amigospodcast.com. And
what is the email again?
john@amigospodcast.com. And like you, I don't forget the name of the email address every episode.
Hey, Brent forgot it last week. I find that painful, that remark, Boat.
So, and if you want to support the show, go to everythingamiga.com/support or patreon.com/amigospodcast. Either one.
It's all good.
It's all good. Here we go.
I'm looking forward to this one.
Gary, Heather, free lunch, Kate Fox, David, Pickford, Cameron Armstrong, Andy Jones, Lobsterminator, Craig McClellan, Timin, and Amiga Retrocast, Counting Virtual Sheep, Bernard Quinn, Retro Man, came Tim Drew, Simon Rose, Joseph Harrison, Kyle Eder, Rob O'Hara, Howard Nibbs, Matthew, Larry Moore, Andy Craig, Sean Zoder, and Lomax, Colin 419, Bachbid, Roland Buck, Andrew Monk, Joe the Zombie, John Cook, Dan Ross, Leaf Kalon, Alan Kebab, Checote, Level, Lord John Marshall, Matthew Perron, Ricky DeRocha, Creepy Dead Boy, Figure CTZ, The Slow Norris, Steph Elgorn, Sorgorn Martinson, Edvin Helland, Blindo 75, Christopher Hassel, Ravi Abbott, Chris Foles Dreamcatcher, Lauren Giroux, Graham Vebke, Lane Denson, Adam Battersby, O'Brien's Retro and Vintage, Gary Hucker, C. Brian Jones, Paul Harrington, and Duncan Stiles. Tapes from the Crib, Josh Nan, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rulo, THT, Eric Nelson, Kim, Tommy Humbertstad, Daniel Bingston, Brutal Barracuda, Darren Coles, Jason Wells, Pixels at Dawn, and Kjol Bjorn Barman.
You sound like a beer commercial singer / guy selling a Ford truck.
Wow.
You know, that's the voice. That was that voice.
I don't recall what a beer commercial salesman sounds like.
It's Miller time when you had a hard day at work. You know that guy that they wheel this guy out. It's some old scrudgy looking. What do you mean?
It's Miller time?
You know,
who says that?
You never heard those songs from back in the day? One thing stands clear, beer after beer, it's Miller beer. It's that guy that sounds like a generic, like crotchety mountain man that's singing the song. That's what you sounded like. I don't know what you were singing. I have no idea, but that's what you reminded me of.
That's a crazy slogan. It's Miller time?
You know, you've never heard the term "it's Miller time"?
That can't be real.
It is. It is. I tell my boss that every day at closing. Well, it's Miller time.
That's probably
Miller
why it gives you such a weird look.
It must be. You know what Miller is, right?
Miller
beer.
Yeah, like
it's Miller time. I remember a cartoon. This guy said it was Miller time, and he opened a beer, and he was in space, and he goes, and he shot across the space because of the can, and the one guy goes, "It's never Miller time in space."
See, I like that one.
There you go.
I can get behind that.
There you go.
Next week, Aaron, we're gonna play nothing because I'm not gonna be here next week.
Oh, we're playing something. Tell them, Boat.
You and Brent are gonna play No Second Prize.
That's right.
I'll be at the beach.
I've played No Second Prize, and I liked it, and I'm ready to go again. I'm going to introduce the Brent to it. It's going to be one of those Brent episodes.
Yeah, it will be, because he'll be on the show and not me.
I wasn't every time Brent's on, but the ratings shoot through the roof. I don't know what that means.
It sounds like you need a new show for the Amigos. That's what it sounds like to me.
He's young. He's popular.
He's fun. He drinks
Mr.
Pepsi.
Brent. He's the Brent.
Yeah.
He drinks Miller.
Does he?
From the can.
Ooh. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Until then, adios.